Welcome back to another episode of Great Sci-Fi Books Explained, where we dive into the fascinating worlds created by some of the best minds in science fiction. Today we're uncovering one of the most iconic works of science fiction ever written, Dune by Frank Herbert. A story of power, betrayal, and the struggle for control of the universe's most precious resource, the spice. Dune is more than a tale of political intrigue, sandworms, and rival houses. It's a visionary masterpiece that redefined the genre, a story of destiny, ecology, and the fine line between survival and annihilation. If you've ever wondered why Dune is hailed as the ultimate epic, how it became a cornerstone of science fiction, or why its legacy endures even after 6 decades, then stick around. Because we're about to unlock the secrets of Arrakis, the desert planet where Shai-Hulud reigns as god of the sands, and the Kwisatz Haderach is destined to rise. But before we do, be warned. This video contains prophetic spoilers that delve into the heart of Dune's mysteries. If you haven't read the book, grab a copy and prepare yourself for the clash of rival powers, the pull of destiny, and the relentless struggle for control of the future itself. Together, let's tread the golden path of Dune. He who controls the spice controls the universe. Dune begins with House Atreides, led by Duke Leto, being appointed as the new rulers of Arrakis, the desert planet known as Dune, replacing House Harkonnen. On the surface, this is an honour the Duke cannot refuse, a chance to control the most valuable resource in the universe, spice melange. Spice is a rare and powerful substance, essential for extending life, enhancing mental abilities, and enabling the Spacing Guild to fold space for interstellar travel. However, its production is intrinsically tied to the giant sandworms that inhabit Arrakis. These colossal creatures both create and guard the spice, making control of the desert planet a perilous and highly coveted prize. But behind this seemingly noble gift lies a deadly trap. The Padishah Emperor, threatened by Duke Leto's growing popularity, secretly conspires with the ruthless Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, the previous ruler of Arrakis. The Baron, a master manipulator and enemy of House Atreides, relishes the opportunity to reclaim his power and crush the Atreides dynasty. Duke Leto, aware of the dangers but determined to fulfill his duty, moves his family to Arrakis. Meanwhile, his son, Paul Atreides, begins to experience strange visions, dreams of the desert, a mysterious girl, and an ominous destiny tied to the spice. Paul's existence itself is extraordinary. The Bene Gesserit, a shadowy sisterhood with extraordinary abilities, have spent centuries orchestrating a breeding program to produce the Kwisatz Haderach, a being capable of seeing across time and space. Lady Jessica, Paul's mother, and a Bene Gesserit herself defied orders to bear a daughter and instead, driven by her love for Duke Leto, gave him a son, Paul. Unbeknownst to most, Jessica is also pregnant with Leto's daughter, further complicating the story. The Bene Gesserit's influence reaches deep into Arrakis. Long ago they seeded myths among the desert-dwelling Fremen, planting prophecies of a messianic figure, the Lisan al-Gaib, who would one day come to lead the Fremen to a brighter future. The betrayal strikes swiftly. House Harkonnen, with the Emperor's elite Sardaukar warriors at their side, launches a devastating surprise attack. House Atreides is overrun, their forces crushed by treachery from within, by Dr. Yue, a trusted family physician blackmailed into betrayal. Duke Leto is killed, and the Baron Harkonnen takes control of Arrakis once more. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me, and when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Paul and Jessica manage to escape into the unforgiving desert with nothing but their wits and training to protect them. Lady Jessica's Bene Gesserit skills prove invaluable, and Paul's developing abilities hint at something extraordinary to come. The two find refuge with the Fremen, the people of the desert who have learned to thrive in Arrakis' harsh environment. Among the Fremen, Paul discovers Chani, the girl from his visions, and begins to embrace their ways, riding the great sandworms, mastering the desert, and learning to lead. Chani becomes Paul's confidant, love interest, and advisor. The Fremen, guided by their prophecies, begin to see Paul as their Lisan al-Gaib. He adopts the name Muad'Dib, which has many meanings, including the Fremen name for the desert mouse. As Paul's powers, both physical and prescient, continue to grow, he is haunted by his visions. He foresees a devastating jihad, a holy war that will spread across the galaxy in his name, leaving countless deaths in its wake. Though reluctant, Paul recognises that his path is unavoidable. Meanwhile, Lady Jessica, now a pivotal figure among the Fremen, undergoes the spice agony to become a Reverend Mother, a process that transforms her by unlocking genetic memories passed through her ancestors. This ritual is perilous, but Jessica's survival ensures her elevated status among the Fremen as a spiritual leader. However, this act has unintended consequences. Her unborn daughter, Aaliyah, is exposed to the spice during Jessica's transformation, gaining full consciousness and awareness while still in the womb. The Fremen view this as a blessing, but Bene Gesserit doctrine condemns such unnatural awareness as an abomination. Under Paul's leadership, the Fremen launch a guerrilla war against House Harkonnen and the Emperor's forces. They use the desert to their advantage, striking hard and fast, and leveraging the awe-inspiring power of the sandworms, Shai Hulud. The tide turns and Paul seizes control of Arrakis and the spice, giving him power over the galaxy's most essential resource. The Emperor arrives to confront Paul, but it's already too late. Paul's position is unshakable. He defeats the Baron's nephew in single combat, removing the last threat to his ascension. To solidify his rule, Paul demands the Emperor abdicate and agrees to marry Princess Irulan, the Emperor's daughter, though his heart belongs to Chani. By the novel's end, Paul has avenged his family, overthrown his enemies, and become the ruler of Arrakis. Yet victory comes with a cost. Paul's visions of the inevitable jihad weigh heavily on him, leaving readers with the haunting question: is he a saviour, or has he unleashed something far darker? The thing the ecologically illiterate don't realise about an ecosystem, Kynes said, is that it's a system. A system. A system maintains a certain fluid stability that can be destroyed by a misstep in just one niche. A system has order, a flowing from point to point. If something dams that flow, order collapses. The untrained might miss that collapse until it was too late. That's why the highest function of ecology is the understanding of consequences. Frank Herbert was born on October 8, 1920 in Washington, United States. From an early age, he displayed an insatiable curiosity about the world around him, often feeding his boundless imagination by spinning stories to entertain himself and others. This passion for storytelling persisted into adulthood, where he found work as journalist and photographer for various newspapers. His career sharpened his observational skills and his ability to craft layered, compelling narratives. Over time, Herbert's wide-ranging interests in ecology, philosophy, politics, and religion would deeply inform his writing. Herbert drew from a myriad of influences in creating Dune, blending real-world science, history, philosophy, and religion with his unique vision. His fascination with ecology is among the most well-documented. During the 1950s, Herbert researched a government project to stabilize the sand dunes in Florence, Oregon. This investigation introduced him to the fragile balance required to maintain ecosystems, an idea that became the cornerstone of Arrakis's arid landscape and the symbiotic relationship between sandworms and the production of spice melange. In Dune's appendix, The Ecology of Dune, Kynes, the imperial planetologist of Arrakis, reflects on the delicate balance of life systems. There is an internally recognised beauty of motion and balance on any man-healthy planet. You see in this beauty a dynamic stabilising effect essential to all life. Its aim is simple: to maintain and produce coordinated patterns of greater and greater diversity. Life improves the closed system's capacity to sustain life. In the novel, the Fremen secretly strive to transform Arrakis from a barren desert into a world with surface water, a monumental task that requires them to disrupt the sandworm life cycle. This multi-generational effort involves planting desert vegetation to stabilize the shifting sands, freeing water trapped beneath the surface and ultimately cooling the planet's climate. Herbert reportedly derived this idea from his observations in Oregon, where grasses, what he called poverty grass, were planted to stabilize dunes against the wind. Over time, these barrier dunes grew high enough to support more diverse forms of life. However, as on Arrakis, such interventions bring unintended consequences. On Dune, the spice is created when sand trout, the larval form of sandworms, excrete a substance that combines with water to form a pre-spice mass. This mass eventually bursts to the surface under immense pressure, where the planet's heat and air catalyze it into spice melange. Introducing excess water disrupts this cycle, ultimately diminishing spice production, a catastrophic outcome for a universe that depends on it. As the appendix notes, now they had the circular relationship. Little maker to pre-spice mass. Little maker to Shai-Hulud. Shai-Hulud to scatter the spice upon which fed microscopic creatures called sand plankton. The sand plankton, food for Shai-Hulud, growing, burrowing, becoming little makers. Herbert's fascination with history and politics also left its mark on Dune. He drew inspiration from the intricacies of medieval European feudalism, where noble houses constantly vied for power under the authority of a central monarch. The political dynamics in Dune echo these structures, with the great houses, the Landsraad, and the Padishah Emperor locked in a fragile and often treacherous balance of power. Herbert's interest in resource conflicts, particularly the geopolitics of oil in the Middle East, also shaped the novel. The spice trade mirrors real-world struggles over vital resources, while the Fremen's cultural resistance reflects the endurance of oppressed people under foreign exploitation. Religion and philosophy were equally critical to Herbert's world-building. Drawing from a wealth of spiritual traditions, including Islam, Buddhism and Christianity, Herbert wove theological and mystical elements into the fabric of his story. The Bene Gesserit's manipulation of prophecy and religion highlights the ways belief systems can be engineered to consolidate power. The Fremen, with their survival-focused spirituality, were heavily influenced by Bedouin traditions, blending themes of honor, resilience, and living in harmony with the harsh environment. Herbert's exploration of human potential was shaped by his fascination with psychology and Zen Buddhism. The Bene Gesserit's rigorous training in mental discipline and prescient insights mirrors Zen practices of mindfulness and the cultivation of inner awareness. Paul Atreides, as the Kwisatz Haderach, represents humanity's ultimate potential to transcend time and space, a reflection of Herbert's interest in pushing the boundaries in human capability. On the origins of Dune, Herbert said in a 1969 interview, "The idea came from an article. I was going to do an article, which I never did, about the control of sand dunes. I finally saw that I had something enormously interesting going on for me about the ecology of deserts. And it was, for a science fiction writer anyway, it was an easy step from that to think, what if I had an entire planet that was a desert?" Herbert was also inspired by literary and philosophical works. T.E. Lawrence's 7 Pillars of Wisdom offered insights into leadership and cultural transformation drawn from Lawrence's time in the Arabian desert. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the ideal superior man of the future who could rise above conventional Christian morality to create and impose his own values. This informed Paul's journey into godlike power, complete with the immense burden of reshaping an entire universe. Once, men turned their thinking over to machines in the hope that it would set them free, but that only permitted other men with machines to enslave them. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Dune universe is its technological landscape. Set tens of thousands of years in the future, humanity has outlawed computers and AI following the events of the Butlerian Jihad, a war against thinking machines. This ban on thinking machines led to a reliance on human intellect and specialized training, giving rise to the Mentats and the Spacing Guild. Essentially, the Mentats are human computers who have been trained to process vast amounts of data with unparalleled precision and logic. Mentats are indispensable in political and military strategy, showcasing the potential of the human mind when explored to its fullest. Extra fact, mentats are often described as having ruby-stained lips from consuming sappho juice, a substance that enhances their mental abilities. With the absence of traditional AI navigation, the Spacing Guild has adapted by employing mutated navigators, individuals who undergo extraordinary transformation through prolonged and excessive exposure to the spice melange. These navigators gain prescient abilities, allowing them to foresee safe paths through space-time. Their role is indispensable, as without their prescience, interstellar travel would be fraught with peril, rendering the galaxy's complex economy and political alliances unsustainable. The Spacing Guild itself is an enigmatic and powerful entity. While it provides the backbone of the universe's commerce and communication, its reliance on spice makes it vulnerable. This creates an intricate power dynamic between the Guild, the Landsraad, and whoever controls Arrakis, the sole source of spice. The Guild's monopoly on space travel ensures its political neutrality, but it also underscores the precarious nature of Herbert's universe, where absolute dependency on a finite resource threatens to destabilize civilization at any moment. The Spacing Guild exhibits how the spice grants its range of extraordinary abilities, making it indispensable to the galaxy's most powerful factions. To the elite ruling classes and wealthy aristocracy, it's essential for life-extending properties, allowing them to maintain power across generations. This longevity, however, comes at a cost, a lifelong dependency on the substance and its inevitable physical effects, such as the blue-on-blue eyes, known as the Eyes of Ibad, which are most prominently seen among the Fremen who consume spice as part of their daily lives. For Paul Atreides, the spice is transformative on an entirely different level. His exposure to the spice-laden air of Arrakis, coupled with his Bene Gesserit training and unique genetic makeup, unlocks his latent prescient abilities. The spice heightens Paul's visions of the future, allowing him to see potential outcomes and navigate complex political and social landscapes. This prescience becomes a critical tool as he leads the Fremen and challenges the Emperor and the Harkonnens. However, it also burdens Paul with the knowledge of an inevitable jihad, a galaxy-spanning holy war waged in his name that he is powerless to prevent. A person needs new experiences. They jar something deep inside, allowing you to grow. Without change, something sleeps inside us and seldom wakes. The sleeper must awaken. Paul's ability to see the future becomes both a gift and a curse. It traps him on a path he cannot fully escape. He perceives the seeds of the Golden Path, a future vision that ensures humanity's survival against stagnation and extinction, but demands great personal and moral sacrifices. Beyond individuals, the spice symbolises the fragility of the galaxy's political and economic systems. The Fremen indigenous to Arrakis are oppressed and exploited for their land's wealth, drawing parallels to our own civilization's history. The Fremen hold a unique cultural and spiritual relationship with water, from still suits that reclaim bodily moisture to their sacred rituals involving water. Their dream of transforming Arrakis into a lush, green world serves as a central driving force behind their actions as a people, but also acts as a cautionary tale about unintended consequences. Extra fact, Herbert drew heavily from Arabic and Islamic culture for Fremen language and customs. Words like jihad, Mahdi, and Shai Hulud are directly borrowed or adapted, reflecting the desert nomads' cultural parallels to Bedouin tribes. The massive sandworms, or Shai Hulud in the Fremen tongue, are not only the greatest danger on Arrakis, but also its most valuable resource, that are integral to the spice cycle. These colossal creatures, some spanning hundreds of meters in length, dominate the desert ecosystem and play a crucial role in the production of spice melange. Arrakis teaches the attitude of the knife, chopping off what's incomplete and saying, now it's complete because it's ended here. The life cycle of the sandworm begins with sand plankton, tiny organisms that feed on organic matter and thrive in the sands of Arrakis. These plankton are consumed by sand trout, a larval stage of the sandworm. Sand trout, in turn, absorb water, forming a protective barrier around underground reservoirs, creating the extreme aridity necessary for the desert to exist. Over time, some sand trout evolve into fully grown sandworms. The adult sandworms, through their movements and metabolic processes, interact with the desert sands, producing the chemical precursors that result in spice melange. Specifically, when water is introduced to a sandworm's environment, whether through underground interactions or rare natural occurrences, it triggers chemical reactions that lead to spice creation. The The spice then seeps to the surface where it crystallizes and can be harvested. A significant byproduct of the sandworm life cycle is the water of life, a deadly liquid exhaled when a sandworm dies through exposure to water. For most, the water of life is lethal, but to the Bene Gesserit or Fremen Reverend Mothers, it's a powerful substance used in their mystical rites. By consuming it and surviving the transformation known as the spice agony, these individuals unlock heightened awareness and access to ancestral memories. The Dune universe is governed by complex hierarchies and power structures that explore themes of politics, religion, and control. The great houses are the noble houses of the Landsraad, like House Atreides and House Harkonnen. Great houses are embroiled in a feudal system of alliances and betrayals, reflecting the cutthroat nature of political power in the Duneverse. The Padishah Emperor Corrino rules over the known universe with the backing of the fearsome Sardaukar army, an elite fighting force that strikes fear into all who oppose the Emperor's will. The people who can destroy a thing, they control it. The Sardaukar are a brutal and nearly unstoppable force, forged through the harshest conditions and unwavering loyalty to the throne. The origins of the Sardaukar lie on the prison planet Seleucia Secundus, an inhospitable world where only the strongest survive. This brutal environment, filled with violence, scarcity, and a constant struggle, serves as a training ground, ensuring that only the most resilient and ruthless individuals become Sardaukar warriors. These men are indoctrinated from birth into a culture of violence and discipline, making them masters of hand-to-hand combat, guerrilla tactics, and psychological warfare. In Dune, the Sardaukar play a critical role in the Emperor's plot to destroy House Atreides. They're secretly deployed alongside the Harkonnen forces during the surprise attack on Arrakis, ensuring the overwhelming defeat of Duke Leto and his followers. Their involvement underscores the Emperor's duplicity and the lengths he is willing to go to preserve power, even if it means breaking the delicate balance of alliances among the great houses. Extra fact, Seleucia Secundus, the harsh prison planet where Sardaukar warriors are trained, is kept secret by the Emperor. This detail subtly emphasizes the cost of imperial power and the extremes required to maintain dominance. The Choam, which stands for Combine Honet Ober Advancer Mercantilis, is the vast and powerful commercial organisation that dominates the economy of the Dune universe. It oversees interstellar trade, with the most significant asset being the spice. Membership and profit sharing within Choam are highly coveted, with shares controlled by the Emperor, the Great Houses, and influential factions like the Spacing Guild and the Bene Gesserit. Choam's economic clout makes it a critical player in the balance of power, influencing political alliances and fueling rivalries among the Great Houses. In Dune, control of Choam shares is a central element in the struggle for dominance. The Bene Gesserit, a secret and highly disciplined sisterhood of women, wield immense influence behind the scenes of political and social structures in the Dune universe. Though they rarely hold overt positions of power, their subtle manipulations allow them to shape the course of history to align with their goals. To know a thing well, know its limits. Only when pushed beyond its tolerances will true nature be seen. One of the Sisterhood's primary endeavours is the breeding programme, a centuries-long project to create the Kwisatz Haderach, a prophesied superbeing capable of seeing across space and time. By carefully controlling bloodlines through arranged marriages and covert interventions, the Bene Gesserit have guided generations of noble families toward producing this ultimate human with unparalleled precision and power. They operate on a timescale far beyond that of any individual or government. Religion is another tool that the Bene Gesserit use. Through their program known as the Missionaria Productiva, the Sisterhood plants religious myths and prophecies on countless planets, subtly shaping cultures to believe in saviors, messiahs, and divine figures. These myths create a foundation of belief systems that the Bene Gesserit can then exploit when needed. For example, the Fremen's prophecy of the Lisan al-Gaib is one such fabrication, allowing Paul Atreides to seamlessly integrate into their culture as a messianic figure. The Bene Gesserit also command extraordinary personal abilities that blend biological and psychological power. Their training gives them mastery over their own bodies, allowing them to regulate pain, control their metabolism, and even determine the gender of their offspring. Their use of the voice, a technique that enables them to command others with specific tones and inflections, exemplifies their control over the human mind. Additionally, the most advanced members of the Sisterhood, the Reverend Mothers, gain access to the genetic memories of their female ancestors through the Water of Life-induced spice agony, granting them immense wisdom and perspective. The Bene Gesserit's influence extends across the political spectrum as they act as advisors, concubines, and confidants to the most powerful figures in the galaxy. While they appear subservient, this is a calculated facade, allowing them to manipulate events from the shadows. Lady Jessica's relationship with Duke Leto Atreides is a prime example of their strategy. She was sent by the Bene Gesserit to serve House Atreides, ensuring their genetic line remain under the Sisterhood's control. However, the Bene Gesserit's quest for control is not without flaws. Jessica's decision to defy the Sisterhood by bearing a son instead of a daughter disrupts their carefully laid plans and sets into motion events that spiral beyond their control. Paul, the unintended Kwisatz Haderach, represents their greatest triumph and their greatest failure, as his rise to power destabilizes the universe in ways they could not foresee. Extra fact, the Orange Catholic Bible is a key text in the Dune universe, representing humanity's attempt to unify religious doctrines after centuries of division. While it's not heavily explored in the first novel, its existence adds depth to the culture and spiritual backdrop of the story. The characters in Dune are central to its rich narrative, each representing a unique archetype and the themes that drive the story forward. Paul is the central protagonist of the story. At the start, he's a young, noble heir, but as the narrative unfolds, he transforms into the Kwisatz Haderach. Paul's archetype is that of the reluctant hero and messianic figure, embodying both the saviour and the cautionary tale of power's burden. Paul's journey is marked by profound internal conflict. His prescient abilities allow him to foresee the devastating jihad that will be waged in his name. Yet his visions also reveal the Golden Path, a necessary but harrowing future that ensures humanity's survival against stagnation and extinction. The weight of these revelations shapes Paul into a deeply complex character, a leader who must choose between personal sacrifice and the greater good. Extra fact, according to Frank Herbert's son, House Atreides was based on the heroic but ill-fated Greek mythological House Atreus. Lady Jessica, Paul's mother, is a member of the Bene Gesserit, a secret sisterhood with extraordinary abilities and far-reaching ambitions. Her archetype is that of the powerful matriarch and loyal protector, balancing personal sacrifice with the weight of destiny. Jessica's character evolves as she transitions from loyal servant of the Bene Gesserit to a fiercely protective mother and eventual ally of the Fremen. She embraces her role as a leader among the Fremen, becoming a Reverend Mother by undergoing the spice agony. This transformation brings with it a profound revelation. Jessica learns that she is the illegitimate daughter of the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, her family's sworn enemy. This revelation adds a complex layer to her character as she grapples with the implications of her Harkonnen heritage, its potential influence on Paul's destiny, as well as the breeding program. Her actions not only secure her son's rise to power, but also highlight her internal struggle as she navigates loyalty to the Sisterhood, her son, and the Fremen. Jessica's duality as both a Bene Gesserit with a secret past and a mother who defies the Sisterhood's plans cements her role as one of the most nuanced and compelling characters in Dune. Duke Leto is Paul's father and the noble leader of House Atreides. Known for his honour and integrity, Duke's leadership is characterised by deep loyalty to his people and his desire to create a better world. His archetype is that of the noble ruler and tragic hero, whose death catalyses the larger story. Leto's commitment to his values sets House Atreides apart from other houses. While many rulers exploit their subjects, Leto's fairness and compassion earn him unwavering loyalty, a quality that foreshadows Paul's own leadership. The centuries-long feud between House Atreides and House Harkonnen adds layers of tragedy to his fate, as his noble ideals are crushed by the scheming and cruelty of his enemies. Gurney Halleck is a loyal Atreides soldier, musician and warrior poet who represents steadfast loyalty and the enduring human spirit. His archetype is that of the loyal soldier and kind-hearted warrior, embodying resilience in the face of adversity. Gurney provides both strategic support and emotional grounding for Paul and House Atreides. He survives the Harkonnen attack on Atreides and later reunites with Paul, further strengthening the Atreides resistance. Duncan Idaho is a skilled swordsman and Atreides loyalist whose dedication to Duke Leto and Paul is unwavering. His archetype is that of the honourable knight and sacrificial hero, embodying loyalty and selflessness. Duncan sacrifices himself during the Harkonnen attack on Atreides, buying time for Paul and Jessica to escape, his bravery and commitment making one of the most beloved characters in the Dune series, with his legacy extending far beyond his death in later novels. Emperor Corrino is the ruler of the known universe and the orchestrator of the plot against House Atreides, driven by fear of their growing popularity and power. His archetype is that of the paranoid sovereign, representing the fragility of absolute power. The Emperor's alliance with the Harkonnens and deployment of the Sardaukar forces to Arrakis underline his duplicity. In the end, his downfall symbolises the end of Corrino dominance and the rise of Paul's new empire. The primary antagonist of Dune, Baron Harkonnen, is the ruthless and cunning leader of House Harkonnen. He embodies greed, corruption and cruelty. His intellect and political savvy make him a dangerous adversary. His archetype is that of the Machiavellian villain, representing the darker side of power and ambition. The Baron's hatred for House Atreides is not just strategic but deeply personal, as he relishes their destruction. Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen is the Baron's nephew and heir, groomed to inherit the Harkonnen legacy. His archetype represents the dark counterpart to Paul, demonstrating unbridled ambition and corruption. Chani is a Fremen warrior and Paul's love interest. Her archetype is that of the warrior companion and steadfast partner, representing resilience and loyalty. Chani becomes Paul's confidant and closest ally, supporting him in his rise to power. Stilgar is a Fremen leader and one of Paul's most loyal allies. His archetype is that of the wise mentor and loyal ally. His loyalty and leadership are instrumental in the uniting of the Fremen people under Paul's command, and he acts as a bridge between Paul and the Fremen culture. When Dune was first published in 1965, it received widespread critical acclaim. Reviewers praised its complexity, ambitious scope, and unique blend of ecological themes and political intrigue. However, its journey to publication was anything but smooth. Frank Herbert faced numerous rejections, with publishers deeming the manuscript too long, too complex, or simply unmarketable. Eventually it found a home at Chiltern Books, a publisher better known for automotive manuals than science fiction. Despite this unconventional start, Dune would go on to redefine the genre, proving Herbert's vision was not only viable but groundbreaking. It was celebrated for elevating science fiction into a sophisticated and thought-provoking literary genre. Critics likened Herbert's world-building to Tolkien's Middle-earth, though Dune stood out for its focus on human nature and societal dynamics. Arthur C. Clarke famously made the direct comparison when he described Dune in his praise for the novel. "I know nothing comparable to it except The Lord of the Rings." Readers were captivated by Herbert's intricate narrative and the rich immersive world of Arrakis. Many were drawn into the novel's exploration of power, ecology and spirituality, finding its themes deeply relevant to the real-world issues of the 1960s. However, some readers initially found its complexity and dense prose challenging, making it a polarizing work among casual sci-fi fans. Dune quickly garnered recognition within the literary and science fiction communities. It won the inaugural Nebula Award for Best Novel in 1965, marking its importance in the genre. It also shared the Hugo Award for Best Novel in 1966, further cementing its status as a science fiction classic. Over the years, Dune has appeared on numerous lists of the greatest science fiction novels of all time, and has been celebrated as one of the most influential works in the genre. For many readers, Dune is more than a sci-fi novel. It's a deeply philosophical and transformative experience. Paul Atreides' journey speaks to readers on a personal level, while the intricate world of Arrakis invites endless fascination and analysis. Dune sets the standard for science fiction, demonstrating that the genre could tackle complex themes and rival literary fiction in depth and sophistication. It showed that science fiction could serve as a vehicle for philosophical inquiry and social commentary, inspiring countless authors to push the boundaries of the genre. The story directly influenced a generation of sci-fi writers, encouraging them to think on a grander scale and explore intricate themes. Authors like Ursula K. Le Guin, Dan Simmons and Ian M. Banks have cited Herbert's work as an inspiration for their own expansive and thought-provoking universes. Its legacy extends to film, television and other media. David Lynch's 1984 adaptation introduced the story to a broader audience, albeit with mixed reviews. Denis Villeneuve's more recent adaptations have been far more successful, reigniting interest in Herbert's universe and earning critical acclaim for its faithful and visually stunning portrayal of the novel. The book has also inspired elements of major franchises like Star Wars. The desert planet of Tatooine and the Jedi mysticism have clear parallels to Arrakis and the Bene Gesserit, and The Matrix, which explores themes of prophecy and chosen ones. More than 50 years after its publication, Dune remains a cornerstone of sci-fi literature. It has spawned a series of sequels by Herbert, as well as prequels and expansions written by his son Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. While these continuations have received mixed reviews, they reflect the enduring fascination with the universe Herbert created. The novel's themes of ecology preservation, resource dependency, and the complexities of power are more relevant today than ever. It continues to speak to contemporary audiences, ensuring its place as a timeless work of literature. From its richly layered characters to its groundbreaking exploration of societal and environmental dynamics, Dune has redefined what sci-fi can achieve. It's a novel that challenges, inspires, and endures, a masterpiece that will continue to influence readers, writers, and creators for generations to come, while leaving those who journey through its pages not just fans, but disciples. Thanks so much for watching. If you're craving an extraordinary journey through realms unexplored, consider delving into universes directly out of my brain by checking out my sci-fi novels Black Milk and Delphine Descends. You can find more details in the description. Thanks for your support.